Welcome to the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. The Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to mention our friends at the following. We talk wrestling. For stories and headlines you won't see pushed anywhere else in the wrestling media, then We Talk Wrestling is your go-to spot. Looking to see what independent shows are happening around your region? Then We Talk Wrestling has you covered. Come join the fun on Facebook's #1 community for professional wrestling. And Outside the Ring STL, join Shaft and General Vader along with others who share their love for professional wrestling as they talk about the recent shows from the major wrestling companies, all independent promotions from around the St. Louis area, and even talk about great moments in St. Louis professional wrestling history. Find them on Facebook at Outside the Ring STL. Get ready for episode number 74 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast as we welcome international sensation and ring veteran, the underground assassin, Ricky Reyes. This podcast is scheduled for one episode where falls count everywhere. We thank all of you joining us for tonight's episode of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Before we get underway, we pay honor, tribute, and respect to the greatest nation in the world as we play our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the brave.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Sunday night, and it is time, because it is a party up in here, according to Z. Yes, it sure is. It's time for the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby, and of course, Z is to the screen, right of your screen. Z, what's going on, man? How's your week been?
The week's been crazy. I'm doing good though. It's been fun.
Doing good? Oh man. Yeah, I've had quite a busy week myself. In fact, I usually don't do this, but it is a time for a toast because right here
Yes.
Yep. Because the reason why is We have actually worked a little deal, and thank you to everybody at SICW All Star Wrestling and the hardworking staff there, Herb Simmons, uh, Brian Whitaker, Andy Warner, everybody there. Um, Tonight, actually on SICW All Star Wrestling, before they came on, is our new commercial spot. Yes.
Yes.
There you go. So we have a commercial spot on SICW All Star Wrestling. So thank you guys working diligently for getting that on. In fact, I wasn't supposed to even expect that till next week. So,
That's it, dude. Big things. Big things.
dude, I mean, I'm just floored as far as what they did, and man, it was just something that's like, you know what? Because a lot, there's a great following at SICW All Star Wrestling, to be honest, and they're on right on before us. So I'm thinking, hey, why don't we just let people know what they can tune into afterwards? I mean, it's a great Sunday night, fun filled of with wrestling action, and of course with the big wrestling show here. So yeah, we're going to get into that and some big things happening over the weekend. But before we go ahead and do that, we are going to go ahead and why don't I know how to do this by now? I should.
I don't know what
And
you
no,
do.
I only had a sip of this, so don't worry.
This is what I've been doing all week, promoting this in Quincy right here.
There you go. There you go. Right there is this Saturday, October 22nd. It presents Dead Man's Party. Of course, the Dead Man's Party match. If you, like I said, I've been in several of these back in the day, and they're bringing it back, and it's going to be a heck of a show in Quincy. Almost tempted just so I can go up there and see it, because the Dead Man's Party match is definitely unique. I would like to just go up and see it, just saying. And then, of course, from what I heard announced is that there's actually going to be a match for the vacated IEW Heavyweight Championship, where Napier is challenging your boy Sid Holland.
Yes.
So
crazy things. Sid's been busy. Guido's been busy. I've been busy. Like, we've been up and down the streets of Quincy, Minden, Hannibal.
Yeah,
I don't know if we went to Hannibal. I think I tried to.
Hannibal's right next there, Hannibal, Missouri. Yeah. So, yes, I know. Oh, and I've been told, sorry, that this was actually the incorrect poster. This is actually the poster that's supposed to
be winning.
Z's
everywhere. Reason.
Something tells me that you're going to be at that show, Z. So
yes, I will be all over that show.
Apparently so.
Finally in a real city.
Oh,
finally.
Wow. And here comes the heel out of Z here. So Saturday, October 29th is IWA Productions with Wrestling for a Cause for breast cancer awareness at 521 Perkins Street in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Bell times at 7, doors open at 6. Floor seats $10, bleachers $5. There is a silent auction and a kids costume contest. Go to IWA Productions on Facebook for more information. And Sunday, October 30th is going to be...
I really like that poster. Sorry.
Yeah. It's the Ring of Screams from Cottage Hills Wrestling Alliance, 127 West MacArthur Drive. This will be Sunday, October 30th. Doors open. Actually, there's going to be a trunk or treat for the kids starting at 1:30. Doors to the facility will be at 3, and then first bell at 3:30. And of course, they are actually at the same venue every Sunday at where you can where the first bell is at 3:30. Go ahead and visit. You can visit Cottage Hills Wrestling Alliance on Facebook for more information. And of course, there are your QR codes for Facebook and for YouTube. There for you there. Yes, thank you. By the way, Herb, thank you very much. Once again, we're just stating on how great you guys did on that commercial spot tonight, and I didn't expect to see it. So once again, thank you very much for that. And so Saturday, November 5th, this is New Breed Wrestling down in Fulton at the Fulton Event Center in Fulton, Missouri. This is Suplexing for Toys. To get in, you must bring an unopened toy or new clothes for a person, and also $2.
What a great name for a show.
Yeah, Suplexing for Toys.
Suplexing for Toys. Good job, guys. I like that.
There you go. So there's doors open at 6, bells at 7. And of course, you can visit facebook.com/newbreedmo for more information. Of course, also to follow New Breed Wrestling as well. And this will also be a live TV taping for their shows that are published on YouTube. And November 5th for IEW Against All Odds, going back to the Granite City Oaks Lodge. And so this is the city that Z doesn't want to be in, apparently.
Oh, no.
So Against All Odds. Hey, this ought to be interesting because, Savage is supposed to be defending these. He's supposed to have a partner by then to defend these titles.
Then.
And we're going to find out if our new, whatever IEW heavyweight champion will be there to defend their title. And, of course, Marcellus Knight is there. So Illinois Elite Wrestling.ticketleague.com for more information on that event for November 5th. And Saturday, November 12th is New Genesis Wrestling Forsaken at the Watson, Illinois Civic Center, 103 Jackson Street. Doors open at 6:30, bells at 7. And tickets for that $10, 15 and up, and then kids 6, 14, $5, 5 and under are free. And of course, NewGenesisWrestling.com is your place for more information on their shows and to purchase tickets. And so, getting back to it real quick here, this past weekend, I was at the Special Olympic Slam that featured the stars of ACW. And then, of course, which Dan Severn and Matt Hughes, the UFC Hall of Famers, were there. And then, of course, Marcus Lilly, or Marcus, I'm an idiot. See, what one sip of beer does, it does. So, the Marcus Mansfield Battle Royal winner was Playboy Double H. And I will say that the last 3 people in there were PYT and myself. So, I got outnumbered. But
I hate to do it to you, but.
Yeah, I know, but there was a point where I had 4 guys trying to lift me out of the ring, and I just went gangbusters back up and
4 guys, I guess.
Got out of it. So but
PYT doesn't suck. It's rude.
Who said that?
Corey did.
Oh,
Corey
well.
did.
Well, man, I have to say that, but because they threw me out. So.
I mean, it's not their fault that you can't keep your feet in the ring.
Well. I got everybody attacking me and double teaming me.
You should have gave Playboy a wedgie.
About
just
that?
Gave him a wedgie.
Oh,
that should have been your defense, is giving Playboy a wedgie. Sorry, Playboy. I love you, buddy, but you screaming at the top of your lungs getting a wedgie would be priceless.
And what about of course SICW is at the East Carndale Community Center last night. Big lumberjack match. Bobby D retained the Central States title. And big battle between Jake Prater and the Big Texan. There was also some great matches on the card. And today was their TV taping, which yes, I was there. So, like I said, I've had a very busy weekend. And also some big notable news that I wanted to bring up here. Another area for World League Wrestling. I wanted to share this with others here that we have a new WLW heavyweight champion who in Superstar Steve Fender, who defeated Moses.
Awesome.
2 out of 3 falls, and apparently had a very long title reign. And Superstar Steve is now the WLW champion and dethroned Moses. And then
Zmiz approves. I love it.
So that's it's gonna be quite interesting how that's gonna work out because with WLW, because they know he goes around the SICW as well. So Superstar Steve's gonna be pretty busy around this area. So be kind of interested to see where this goes. And let's go ahead and get back here. So. We were talking about our question for the week last
We didn't
week.
get much well, we got some love on it on the We Talk Wrestling page.
Yeah, so and here's the question here is where do you see Bray Wyatt going towards first in WWE? Well, first off, let me just say that the promo that he had on SmackDown.
Don't knock it.
I'm not going to knock it at all. Here's the thing is this. do I really take that? Is that really heartfelt? Is he playing with our strings of emotion? Because of the that whole video montage of the white noise and that new mask that appears, and then then SmackDown just went off with that video montage, and that's it. So
yeah, we're getting something way different. We're getting a whole new layer to Bray Wyatt, and it's gonna be flipping amazing.
yeah, I think part of that was heartfelt. Obviously, it had to have been heartfelt on that, but as far as we've had some responses here that before any of this happened, that maybe he might come after the New Day, he might come after the Bloodline, but honestly, dude, I think there's going to be another direction here. I think it's almost, and am I crazy to think it may be just a battle within himself? What other type of could it be something of a quote unquote inner demons? Maybe he's going to try and battle and overcome. But you know what? If you think about it, that could be, from what he's gone through, that could be a really great story to tell in WWE.
I mean, Reddit's been hot with all kinds of things. That like Liv Morgan's the actual Sister Abigail, and Alexa was playing like a false prophet thing, and then Bray's going through this whole transformation back to husky hair. Like, there's been all kinds of like off the wall stuff. I'm just excited to watch it. Like, the reason I like Bray so much, and I've come to realize this, even though I am a fan of like technical wrestling, I'm a very big fan of people that can talk. So like if they can put on a promo and get me captivated with just by words, like the match just flows right after that then. And it's just like this beautiful connection. And Bray's one of those guys. So I'm just happy to go watch his artwork again on screen.
Oh yeah, man. It's going to be, it's almost going to be kind of like a masterpiece in what he puts together and how they're going to figure out where the story goes from there. But there's more than one interesting storyline with all this going on. And
as a whole, WWE's been doing really good with interconnecting all their storylines. Like, everyone's touching and bumping off each other. Everyone's having, like, it's not just like Seth and Matt Riddle are fighting for 4 months and they're not talking. Like, that's how they were back in the day. Like, back just recently, like, when they started a feud, it was just them, and like it was like nothing else in WWE was going on at the same time.
Right.
But it's really nice. Like, Bobby Lashley had a thing against Seth, then he wanted to fight this guy, and then like everybody's just interconnecting, and we are really at the pinnacle of wrestling right now, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. So here's another, because I've seen some reports on this too. And I don't know how involved that Bo Dallas has been, his actual brother, how involved he's been in the industry. But, I mean, to bring actual family back, I mean, that could strengthen the story for sure.
I'm a believer. Let's do it. I'm so in. Like, I've been a Bo fan since NXT, and if you hadn't watched NXT prior to when they actually like boomed, when Bo Dallas actually was champion and stuff, like, you missed out on a great character, and him doing the Believe gimmick and everything else. Like, it was so beyond fun. I'm ready for it. If they can intertwine, families are doing good right now. Bloodline's killing it, so.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. And then, what about, just, I don't know if you saw on SmackDown, but apparently, Ray is on SmackDown now, because apparently, with that promo, we go up to Triple H saying he quit, and then he gets he replaces Karrion Kross, who got taken out by Drew earlier in the show, and then now he's like the number one contender. So I'm probably seeing, with Ray facing Gunther at Survivor Series, and come on, both brands going to be there. You're going to tell me that Judgment Day or Dominic's not going to interfere in that?
I hope it's not. I hope it's actually a cool off, and let's let Judgment Day Ray settle a little bit, and kind of let's push that story just away just a little bit. Couple months, let Ray have a nice little run, and then let Dom come back and be like, Dad, I didn't forget about you, bro. Like, come on. We're gonna have this match. Like, we're gonna, like. So I think it'd be really cool to see that, maybe the passing the torch kind of thing. I don't want Gunther to lose, but if Gunther had to lose to somebody right now, Ray and him could be a great story fit for a little bit. Ray can work great with big dudes. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a fun one to see. And I'm solid with it. I'm cool with it. I was confused by it, but I want to see Dom and him cool off a little bit and then like restart their feud within like 3 months from now.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Let's see. Yeah, and that's another thing here too. I guess. Well, I mean, I don't know when the date is um for Survivor Series. I'm gonna have to look that up. But with War Games, I'm assuming it's going to be SmackDown versus.
No, they said in an article that's not going to happen. It's going to be more storyline driven.
It's going to be more than
it's supposed to be more storyline driven, so it's going to mean something supposedly. But I mean, WWE's blending the shows very well, like with still having like these are SmackDown guys, these are WWE guys, these are NXT guys, but everybody kind of jumping ship and like getting FaceTime here and there and kind of migrating around. I really like what Trips is doing right now. Mad props to Trips. Like, keep it up.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, as far as I'm just kind of interested to see how Raw's going to top what SmackDown did this.
That's a funny thing. Like the people are actually talking about that stuff. Like, I want to see what SmackDown's doing. I want to see like I like that AEW gets thrown in there. I just wish people would be more willing to just who cares what the letters are? Just enjoy it. Because there's stuff I like AEW's doing right now. Hangman Page had one of the best damn promos he's ever cut in the business last week, and it was phenomenal. And he had me on my like heartstrings. Just, I was there.
Oh yeah. But the whole thing though that just threw me off. I mean, I was kind of into that promo and just saying and then the camera just cuts to freaking MJF just eating popcorn.
Yeah, I saw that when you said when you texted me that. I was behind. But okay, so the cuts are kind of lame because they had something really good. Like they had a passionate moment with Hangman, and then it's just MJF. I mean, I guess it works for his heel character, so whatever. I can't complain. I won't nitpick it. Promote it. Promote what you like.
Yeah, exactly. So we're working out here to at least to get this waiting to see when this guy's gonna kind of show up.
That's my dude.
I figured it was like, man, if anybody's excited to talk to this guy,
I'm pumped to hear from Reyes. I am so pumped. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm excited.
No, you're good. You're good. No, you're good. In fact, I just want to making sure that everything is good and in line here. Because
I look goofy in that picture, though.
Yeah.
I gotta spend. I had the pleasure to spend not a majority of the weekend, but like a good chunk of it. Like I was the guy that went and picked him up from the airport, brought him to the venue, all that kind of stuff. So I got to spend a little more time with him than most of them, and sitting there waiting for his plane, like to take off because I was just bored. It was 6 a.m. Like, screw it, I'm gonna hang out with this guy and learn, right?
Yeah,
soaking up. Like I still use some of the stuff that he mentioned to me in that conversation. That just, I mean, we were 45 minutes maybe of us just chilling.
Yeah. So I think I'm still waiting for him to get on here. So I mean we've reached out to him. We just want to make sure that he's still coming on board.
I'm pretty sure that's Alan right there. Alan, if you are coming through Facebook, if you go to StreamYard and approve for you to, be shown through the We Talk Wrestling thing, we could see that it's Alan, and then we can make fun of you even more. But we know you're an old gray guy, and sometimes it's hard to do things like that. We love you. I haven't got to pick on him forever. Like, I love that guy. Alan's a great guy.
Yeah, come on now and get it. StreamYard.com/Facebook. Approve it. How many times I got to tell you, Alan? Man,
Alan.
I got to give Alan a little bit of a hard time. And while we're waiting to go on, we're waiting for him to come on board. There is our call-in number. If you have any thoughts or anything that's wrestling related that we've not mentioned or something that you want to tag on, you can always reach us. Our listener line is open while we're waiting for Ricky to get in here. 314-384-4400. So we're all business.
What kind of... Did you see this question? Look at Corey. Why do I like PYT so much? Because Playboy's amazing. Rather charming? Come on. Like, that alone signifies greatness. Rather charming. You only need Bradley Stevens part of it. Come on.
Well, I mean...
Best hairdresser in the business? You can't,
Well, I don't know. I'm still kind of a little... I should have had that Rumble, but it's all right.
You're the one that fell over the rope.
I fell over... Yeah. Well... Actually, the thing is, I was trying. He was leaning over, and I leaned over, trying to shove him off, trying to throw him off, and I was leaning over, and then Playboy from up behind lifted my one leg that I didn't have on the ground, and whoop, there I go. So,
whoa, Corey, my dude.
I know he's joking. He's joking.
I've been hated for being a Miz fan for my whole life, and now everybody's like, "Oh, I like Miz too." Like, get to the back of the line. Yeah. Been there since day one.
Since day one, right? Well, I mean, now as far as I don't know if you know about any other upcoming matches here, like as far as when we're talking about Quincy or anything else of that nature for the Dead Man's Party.
I wish I did.
Yeah,
I'm in the dark. All I know is we have a costume contest. We have a costume contest for the kids, so that's pumping. Number one, a big shout out to. We're going to do a 50-50 drawing for a great organization in Quincy, Illinois, an organization that I work with called Bella Ease in Quincy Teen Reach, helping some families out, all that kind of stuff. So 50 will go to the person, the other 50 will go to the organization. So they're going to be in attendance. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, just fun family fun. And I can't wait to have some of my kids see me dog everybody.
Dog everybody? Yeah. Uh-oh.
We got somebody?
No, I thought I did. I did. Maybe not. I don't know if anybody was. I think somebody. I don't know if somebody texted or somebody was calling or what. I don't know. My mind's playing tricks on me. I have no idea who this is. Oh, it's somebody messaged. Yeah, because we got texting capabilities on this phone too. And bear with me here as I'm trying to get this figured out, because I got a whole new stand for the device that takes the calls. And
why what, Doug? I have no idea. Tell me why, Doug. School.
I'm sorry. If we're talking about costumes right now, this has got to be funny. Dressed up as Kenny McCormick from South Park.
It's fair.
Oh, so you didn't play good Kenny because Kenny usually gets killed every
time he shows up.
Yeah, but he regenerates after every episode. But oh my gosh, yeah. So are you going? I mean, do you have a costume? Are you going to be in the contest?
Oh, we'll have to see. Zmiz does have some surprises.
Wow. Yeah, I have no idea. If I haven't dressed up as anybody, but of course
it's for kids. It's not for adults. Like, but I'll beat every kid.
Okay, all right, adults out there. Okay, there are adult costumes. There's costume stores out there, and adults can dress up. But if you start going out there and getting candy, I'm going to come out and smack you. Just leave the candy for the kids. That's not for you. Your trick-or-treating days are done. We do grown-up things now, like drink and get stupid. So that's what that's what the adults are supposed to do when they get up and dress every Halloween. So, my goodness. Well, We are still waiting on the arrival.
Yes.
What? Who did this? Who
What,
did this?
Mr.
No, I
Fiend?
am
I
not.
was wondering.
Somebody,
You can be
yeah.
squeaky sometimes.
Well, yeah. If no, well, yeah. I mean, if yeah, because I do put a straight razor to my head to shave it. So, oh geez, yeah. So all the scary people have a chance to win prizes around October. Because with
What, Sid? Sid, no language like that here.
that's not nice, Sid. That is not nice at all.
I like that.
No, I thought it hurt something. I thought it hurt something.
I don't know.
Let's see. Face painting, custom contest. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. There's gonna be a bunch of fun.
Yeah. So and
Lily, you would scare everybody without getting dressed up, my dude.
It's gonna be a scary night in itself. So, oh my goodness.
We
So,
have face paint. We should have clowns.
Oh no, somebody. Jay, you better hope I do not find you before this month is over.
Oh, I
want to
see that now.
Right.
I want to see that now.
If I do, I would grow like a bad gray beard and start acting like Bad Santa. So, but I'm not dressing like
that's
GQ.
Funny. Can we appreciate Sami Zayn too?
Yeah. Yeah. What about that? So
everything about Sami Zayn, like how flipping awesome he is.
Well, I mean, on how far he's getting over, that's incredible. And I'm interested to see where Jey Uso is going to play in the upcoming weeks, because
I have a dirty sidearm booking that I wish would happen. So everybody wants Sami Zayn to actually like win the title from Roman, kind of thing. That's a huge thing, right? But what if Sami Zayn's the reason Jay wins the title?
Bro. No, I'm kind of waiting to see if anything's going to implode by Survivor Series or at Survivor Series, because the bloodline's going to be together.
I want main event Jay.
You want main event Jay back?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I'm actually kind of getting. I'm actually getting the kind of like the bloodline a little myself. So
I still can't stand Roman, but I mean, he's a good athlete. He's kind of like this generation's Shawn Michaels to me. Like, I'm not a fan of Shawn Michaels, but I respect Shawn Michaels' work. Like, I believe he's as good as people say he is. Like, I truly understand that. I respect that. Just he's not my guy, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about Roman. And then Cena, I just like to hate him. Just want to throw that in there.
Well, I mean,
Cena's that character that I want to hate just because I want to hate him, not because that he does anything wrong.
Right. I hear you.
I don't know why we're talking about Cena, but I just wanted to bring him up. I miss him.
Well, we're talking about people we hate and people who are ugly, apparently. And
who's ugly?
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh! And Corey, you are now on my hit list now. That is horrible. That is horrible. No. And apparently, apparently there's a team better than PYT here, Zach, and that is the
Post-Human. Those guys scare me.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, those guys, their styles contrast a lot. I mean, obviously the Post-Humans are a lot quicker. I mean, they're lighter. I mean, they're going to take to the air more. Where PYT, well, they're seasoned vets. And they'll find a way to work around all the aerial tactics that the Post-Humans have.
I have to say I love Post-Human. The great guys, and they have a great future. Slow down. That's all I'm asking. And you have everything you deserve. You guys are going to be freaking awesome. Like, I can't repeat that enough. Awesome. Just save your bodies, gentlemen. Just
Yeah. So Sid says I won't be ignored. You're not being ignored, Sid. I mean,
what do you say?
Oh no. Just read the chat. I'm not gonna read it here on the air.
Oh, he's getting dirty, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Sid will not be ignored come Saturday because you have a chance to be IEW heavyweight champion, Sid.
Yeah.
So
Be nice.
Focus on that instead of your manscaping. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. You need to focus on winning.
Oh man, I mean, I will totally plug Manscaping if we could get a sponsorship with Manscaped. I think it is. I think it is called Manscaped, isn't it?
Manscaped, I think, yeah.
Then we can bring brought to you by Ridge Wallet.
Oh my gosh, no.
No, yes, we can.
So all this.
Oh,
He's
coming. He's coming.
Oh,
Ricky,
he is.
Ricky just gave me a thumbs up.
Okay. Yeah,
so,
apparently he's tapping me here too. So
running late. That's all right. I just can't wait to see his face. This guy is such one of the nicest guys.
Yeah, he is. He's real busy too. I mean, and that's why we appreciate the time that he's taken out to do this. And yeah, I know it's taken a while.
Has a family. He's been crazy busy. Several tours. He's been killing it.
I mean, if you guys, like I said, we're gonna kind of try to do a general recap of what he's done and the highlights of his career. But he's been around for quite a bit. He does have a Wikipedia page if you guys want to check it out about some of his highlights of his career, his accomplishments, what he's done. I mean, he's been around a lot of places. Check out Ricky Reyes on Facebook. He's been a lot of places, and we're just going to showcase some of what he's done on here. So yeah, we'll in fact, let me go ahead and take what am I doing?
Sid's promoting.
I have no idea.
You're good. What did you do wrong?
I have no idea what I'm doing. There you go. That's what I meant to do. Okay.
He did wrestle a match with Ryback on a losing cause as a tag team. Yes, we don't talk about Ryback.
Yeah, we don't talk about Ryback. No, we don't.
It's like we don't talk about Bruno, but it's we don't talk about Ryback. No, not Ryback.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
I've met my quota of making a fool of myself.
You know what I really think about Ryback? You're a stage 5 dumbass. That's what I think about Ryback. That's what I think about Ryback. So somebody had to do the job, and he was professional.
Skip Sheffield was better. I'm just gonna say it. Yip, what it do?
Come on, Skippy.
Skip Sheffield was just way better, man.
Yeah, I guess. But either way, we can get on to the subject of professionalism, which that guy is totally not. But, yeah. Oh my gosh. Here we go. I think we're gonna. Yeah, I think we're about ready, my friend. I think we're about ready. So let me get ready over here, and then let's go ahead and get our guest on. So our guest on here tonight is a well-traveled ring veteran of at least 23 years. He's been wrestling up in the Northeast. He's been wrestling everywhere across the country, we're going to talk about his career also in Lucha Underground some. And also before that, in other major promotions that's been featured, such as CZW, Combat Zone, and also with Ring of Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the Falls Count Everywhere podcast here this evening, Mr. Ricky Reyes.
Hey guys, how are you?
Ricky, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Sorry for the delay. Some stuff's going on at home, so I just forgot. My bad.
You're good, brother.
We were just talking that you are a busy individual, and we really appreciate you coming on and joining us here tonight. Definitely, you definitely put in your work. You've really your talents, at least in my opinion, should be showcased a little bit higher than what you've been given. but you work with what what you were given the opportunity to, and you've taken grabbed it by the horns and just rode with it, man. And I'm glad that you're here tonight, and we're gonna recap with some of that, man. So how you feeling, man?
Hurt all the time, achy. I moved to San Antonio, Texas in January. Had to get out of that cold weather. You guys know all about it.
Yeah.
I don't do well. I've never done well with it, but the world decided to shut down, so that put a delay on some stuff. Otherwise, we probably would have been here a few years earlier than what we actually did. But we made it. Everyone's happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love this cold weather though.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I don't know. I was never a fan of it. Like I grew up in Southern California. I was born and raised there. So when my mom actually was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and when I told her my bright idea of moving to the East Coast, she just laughed and said, "You won't last 2 years there because you think it's cold when it's 55." And I remember thinking, "Yeah, that's it. That is cold, And those days I was begging for 55. Some of those days.
55 is a blessing. I mean, I'm over 30, so
yeah,
I'll still be in shorts.
Yeah, it was just too much. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really have a game plan when I moved down there. It was just one of those things, and I ended up staying 16 years. So.
Yeah, well, here in the Midwest, we get Mother Nature's mood swings about 90% of the year. So
yeah, you guys do, yeah.
It's extremely cold, extremely hot, extremely windy, extremely rainy. Tornadoes popping up. In 2 hours before there was flights, there was sunshine and not a cloud in the sky. Yeah. So it's stuck in cover weather here. So
yeah, right.
Man. So we're gonna go and get this started here for you, and like I said, we definitely appreciate your time, and
no worries, of course.
And we just want to feature some of the best here on our podcast. So to start off here, and what I wanted to ask here is, which wrestler or wrestlers that inspired you the most to get involved inside professional wrestling, and tell us how you got started in the business.
Well, I mean, because I'm old, I was a Hulkamaniac when I was a kid. So my very first, memories of pro wrestling was, the Hulk Hogan 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, boom. I remember watching him beat the Iron Sheik for the WWF title. That was like on regular television, and when I was a kid, and I just remember thinking, like, man, I want to be a wrestler one day, And I was like maybe like 5 or 6 years old, and I remember that like it was yesterday. Like I can remember the feelings and just the emotion. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I remember sitting down thinking that in my head that I wanted to be a wrestler when I grow up. With, obviously, being a kid, not knowing what it takes or whatever, but I remember just that. And then really just following that whole Hulkamania run as a kid, going to the grocery store, reading all the magazines, watching it on TV every Saturday, Sunday, right in the afternoon. I mean, that's when the Wrestling Superstars Wrestling Challenge was on, and you couldn't see Hulk Hogan for free. It was back when you had to pay to see him, right? But President Jack Tunney would get on there and say he had a special announcement about SummerSlam and the main event next week. So, like my world revolved around, President Jack Tunney's announcements. And I would go to school, and I had a handful of friends that admitted that they watched wrestling, because we were all like closet, wrestling fans, back then. and we'd share wrestling magazines or trade magazines at school, and it was just when it was fun, man. It just was, nobody was arguing about anything except, how Hulk Hogan was going to win or, whatever. I mean, like, it was just a different, obviously, I mean, like anything evolves, right? But I mean, it was just a completely different era where it was just really, just genuine emotion for, like, the characters and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's really what drew me to it. Then eventually my parents got cable when we were, older and stuff like that. And the whole cable thing started. And that's when I always read Texas wrestling and NWA and stuff like that in the magazines, but I'd never seen it until we had cable. And then we, of course, like the whole TBS thing. And then you see like Ravishing Rick Rude and the Four Horsemen, and you started seeing like guys like that. And you were like, I would fall for what Jim Ross was saying. Like, we're real wrestlers, we're just wrestling, and you see the style of wrestling was so different. It was in a smaller venue, but everything seemed so much more solid, and the style of wrestling was faster paced and, harder hitting. And, now, being a wrestler myself, I always kind of stop and think, like, where would I have fit in back then, and I kind of always hoped I would be a Crockett guy if I could, was born a couple decades earlier. Just style of wrestling, so I mean, that's kind of the start of it, at least. And I mean, how I ended up breaking into it, I remember I was the magazine stand and I saw I think it was The Wrestler, and on the top banner was a bright yellow banner and it said Guide to Independent Pro Wrestling. So I remember I picked it up and I was reading through, like I'd go to the back because that's where all the indie stuff was, or the international stuff. So I went straight to the back and I was trying to find California territory wrestling, and then I found it, and in it had an advertisement for one of the wrestling schools 20 minutes from my house in San Bernardino, California. And I thought, this is it. Like, I'm going to be a wrestler. Like, this was, and I'm like, I don't know, 16 or 17. And it was that. And then there was the Ultimate Warrior University out of Phoenix, Arizona. And I was like, or I'll just go to the Ultimate Warrior University because that'll fix everything. And then, I just started like calling these schools, getting information. My parents weren't on board at all in any way, shape, or form. So the deal was once I graduated high school, because I was the first in my dad's side of the family to graduate high school. My dad just said, just graduate high school and you do whatever the hell it is you want to do, But so I was like, all right, that was my motivation for graduating high school, and trying to get a job to save money. We didn't have a lot of money, so anything I was going to do or any way I was going to get there and back, whatever, is all going to be on me, So that's kind of how I started. Found Jesse's School of Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling in Southern California, Jesse Hernandez, and started training there. I met Christopher Daniels, came in on my like first full week there. I think he came in the next Saturday, and I kind of knew who he was from the magazines, like reading his name and stuff like that. And then the next week, I remember Rocky Romero showed up, and Frankie Kazarian showed up, Samoa Joe showed up, and we all started kind of training together and just working out, and kind of became buddies, like traveling all over and stuff like that. So that was kind of how I started, and we all kind of like formed a relationship and friendship to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of funny how you and I have the similarities, because I remember I was just about like late in like 8.5 or whatever, even later. and syndication up here in St. Louis. Just coming off from the wrestling that's Chase era, and they were WWF was airing their stuff, and I saw I happened to see. I was memorized to seeing the match between Hulk and Sheik, and I was pretty. I was hooked in by then, and I was hooked on wrestling for even throughout school, and I was even razzed for it. People, the little kids sucked around here. Like growing up for that because they didn't like what I liked, and it's like, well, so of course I get razzed about it, but I still didn't care. And when I got on board for wrestling, my parents were like, "You got to be out of your freaking mind." So, oh,
What was that beep?
well, was that a beep? Oh, that was I don't know. Is someone texting? I think someone's texting online. Oh, it's a missed call. Why is the calls coming through? I know who it is.
Great glitches. But so throughout your travels, you end up making it to Japan, and you were trained by the great. I'm going to butcher his name, Antonio Inoki.
Yeah.
How much of like a stronghold did he put on your career when you were in New Japan and all that stuff, and throughout your progression in wrestling?
I mean, a lot of what he taught me, and we talked about philosophy and style and what pro wrestling is in his mind, or was now, is still in my mind. So it was, and that's what I was really drawn to. He had a very unique look and style of wrestling, Mr. Inoki. So that's what he started New Japan with, where Giant Baba started All Japan with a little bit slower pace wrestling, but Mr. Inoki's style was a little more faster pace, and he liked more action. So the matches may have been a little bit shorter, but there was a lot more movement and activity in each match, and that was the New Japan style, when it started, like in '72. But then the All Japan style was so much more methodical and slower paced wrestling. But obviously everything evolved. So Mr. Inoki's style, basically, that's why he was so drawn to mixed martial arts, was because it was, in Japan at least, it was like if anybody ever watched Pride, the rules
that's how I know him.
Right. So the rules were to move, right? Like they get a yellow card if they were like stalling, and then the ref would reset them if they were just kind of laying and praying, like just ground and pound. They just get them up and like, nope, like you got to keep going. So I really understood that style of wrestling, because by the time I got, into the high school and I started amateur wrestling. I started amateur wrestling because I started watching like the Steiner brothers and Bob Backlund and Bret Hart and Dynamite Kid and all these guys wrestling. I started tape trading, so I started finding stuff from Japan, and that was the style, was like basically an amateur wrestling match, kind of style of wrestling. So, like in my sophomore year of high school, I just quit the basketball team and I was like, I'm going out for the wrestling team, and all my friends at the time were basketball players. We were all, worked out together, trained together. And I just came in to practice the one day and, handed my coach my jersey. And I was like, I'm going out for the wrestling team. And everyone was like, what? And that was it. I was like, that's what I wanted to do as an adult. So I figured I need to figure this shit out now, because I don't want to get my ass kicked, So I started amateur wrestling, and a lot of that stuff that I learned in amateur wrestling, Mr. Inoki would show us at the dojo. He would teach us like a front face lock's not like a quote unquote rest hold like most people think it is. It applies pressure. It could choke somebody out. Why would you just lay there and sit in this hold? Like he used to like they'd put on like a Monday Night Raw, and you know how many times do you see a guy grab a chin lock, right? And one of my funniest memories of watching Monday Night Raw match with Mr. Inoki is, I think it was John Cena.
Oh boy.
Did someone put a chin lock on him, like to go to a comeback or something, and Cena starts reaching for the ropes, and he's kind of just waving his arms around, and Mr. Inoki grabs TJP, and TJ's like 17 at this time, right? And sits him down, and he goes, why he's grabbing away, and we're like, what do you mean? Like he's like reaching away, right? So he's like working the crowd, right? But he says why, and he puts TJP in a legitimate choke, and his eyes bug out, and TJ grabs Mr. Inoki's arm, right? Because he squeezes, and TJ starts coughing up a lung, and he's all beet red and Filipino and falling over and gasping for air. We were all like, me, Rocky, and like I think Bryan Danielson was there and a couple other guys, and we're just like, holy shit, he almost killed him, and he's like, if choke, you pull down, you don't grab away. And we're like, yes, sir. Like, and those are things that I do to this day, and that was 2002, 2003, but that's how he looked at wrestling. Like, it should not be fake. It shouldn't be fake looking, if you want people to believe anything that you're doing, and I still carry that philosophy on even to this day. Like a lot of seminars I do, a lot of times when I wrestle guys, it's like I'm kind of always teaching. I'm teaching that style because that's what people will believe, and your stuff will become more effective. Anything you're doing will become more believable to the fans if you don't muddy the waters so much. If you don't, not everything has to be a duck clothesline. Like, we've seen 97 duck clotheslines in like 3 matches. When's the clothesline ever going to hit? So where's the value of the duck clothesline? Every ham and egger's ducked it so far, and they all look bad thrown, right? So it has no meaning. Or I hate when guys are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna grab you in this hole and just get out of it, and I'm like, well, what is it? Nothing. I'm just gonna do this. Why? For what? Like, what? What are we doing this for? You're dirty. You're mudding up the waters because you want to get to something. Just tell me what we need to get to. Let's get there, and then let's eliminate all this square dancing routine that we got to get to. It doesn't make any sense. So I try to do a lot of that stuff, and like I feel like a lot of times I'm like teaching class when I'm trying to explain a match that I have to go through, but I also take my job pretty seriously. So when I'm in a match, I look at it like that's my reputation out there. If I go out and have a bad match, or something goofy happens, and people point and laugh and everything else, it's not the ham sandwich I'm with. It's like, oh, look what Ricky Reyes did. He's a jobber. Look at him, and it's like, then what have I worked my ass off for 24 years to be laughed at? Like,
Amen.
So I probably like went on a rant there, but I do that, and I believe in that because I always thought that way before I met Mr. Inoki, but no one ever told me, yeah, that's right. Or no one ever told me that's wrong. Most of the guys were like, yeah, you have a pretty good match, because they were indie guys, but here's a wrestling icon, and he's explaining to me without me saying anything, basically, that this is the right way and everyone else's way is bullshit. So, that's kind of how, what I took from him was, without asking, it was being verified that I was thought of wrestling the right way, because I always looked at it like how the Steiner brothers did it. And if there's a waist lock and Scott Steiner grabs you in a waist lock and it's 1992, you're grinning your teeth down and you're hoping that you wake up in a few seconds, right?
Yeah,
Because you're going to get
thrown.
Yeah, you're going to get thrown. It's not a transition spot where you do like a dance and then a wiggle and then you roll underneath the guy and everyone points the like that wouldn't happen, right? So, and that was the New Japan style.
The funny thing is, like, with Noki, like, I grew up with him as a Pride fighter. I didn't even know he was a professional wrestler until about maybe 10, 15 years ago when I got introduced to him as a professional wrestler. And I think it was like him versus Sting was my first match I ever watched of him, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I knew him as a Pride fighter because that's what I grew up watching, was Pride fighting plus WCW. But
yeah,
so that was really cool.
Yeah, so we've seen you. We've heard you throwing some names around already. As far as who you worked with here throughout your career, but who is like your favorite wrestlers to work with when you were in singles competition?
I always had great matches with. I mean, anybody that takes this seriously is who I'm going to have the best match with, and I've had really good matches with a lot of guys. I try to have a good match every night, but I do remember one particular match in Pittsburgh I had with Alex Shelley, like 2007 or 8 or something, and I don't know. There was just something about the match because of his style of wrestling and my style of wrestling meshed very well. It was just one of those nights where everything just kind of was aligned, right? And when you make a match, you're planning on or hoping to get certain reactions at certain moments of the match for the story you're telling. And on that night, we didn't expect to get as big of reactions as we did for every single thing. Like, I remember the first shoulder tackle I took, it was just like a massive explosion and he backed up and then I backed up because it wasn't part of what we were about to do. And he just like took a second and we just kind of like, oh, it's going to be one of those. Like, it's going to be that easy, wait till they see in 10 minutes what they're going to get, So it was just a night that I just remember. I remember wrestling Low-Key a couple times. We have good chemistry. Somewhat of a similar style. He's a little more, obviously, acrobatic, more high flying than I am because I'm just afraid of heights and I don't jump off anything. So, but it was great. It was great because we both had the same. We both, again, much like Alex Shelley, we all have the same mindset of like the match is what's important. The crowd reaction, and then giving the fans, a show-stealing match. So guys like that. I mean, I've had good matches with Joe, Smo Joe.
Yeah, you have.
They just hurt. They just hurt a lot more than the other ones.
I always wanted to see you. Yeah, that's great.
Me and TJP had an awesome match in Canada, much to the same effect of that I had at Alex Shelley, where we had an idea of what we were going to do, and we thought, oh, this will be good. They'll get a kick out of this cute little thing, and they went, and the crowd was insane for it. It was UWA hardcore wrestling in Toronto, maybe 2006. I can't remember exactly, but I remember the crowd was going nuts for everything. It was almost like comical. Like I was like, this is insane. Like, and then the next night we worked in Ring of Honor, I think in Buffalo the next night, and not nearly as big of a crowd reaction, but also the match was like Toronto. We had as much time as we went. So I think we went like 15, 20. And then, the next day in Buffalo was like 7 minutes, so we just hit a couple high notes and got out of there.
My goodness. Yeah.
Did you ever get to grace the field with like Dean Malenko? Because I think you two would have had like an amazing match together.
No, but ironically enough, I can't remember. somebody in Lucha Underground referred to me as the Dean Malenko of Lucha Underground because I remember Rey Horace. He's Rey Mysterio's nephew, I think. He does that satellite DDT where he spins like 360 in the air. And anyways, I remember he goes, "I want to wrestle you," and I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And he goes, "No, I can wrestle. I can really wrestle." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "Yeah, like real wrestling." So we like got on the mat and did some chain in the locker room one night, and he goes, "That's the kind of match I love. I want to wrestle you in a match." And I said, "Oh, but you only do high spots." He goes, "I know, because I'm small and the guys throw me." And I just thought it was funny because he was like so disappointed with, like, he's like a super high flyer, it's like he's known, all over the world for being like one of the best luchadors, and all he wants to do is mat wrestle.
That's was one of the things I've respected about you, is that ground game and stuff. And Dean Malenko is one of my other favorites, and I've always enjoyed watching your work. So, like when they finally said that I get to take you like on a car ride, I was like, "Oh, no way, dude! Like this is a guy that I've legitimately watched wrestle." Like, so it was cool experience. But going away from the world into the tag team world, you actually formed a tag team with Ricky Romero. I say it right?
Romero.
Romero. I'm getting tongue-tied over here. Havana Pitbulls. How did you guys meet, and how did that team become a thing? Because it was a beautiful team.
So we teamed first when we first broke in. We broke in a few months apart. So we met at the wrestling school in San Bernardino. He was wrestling there when he was like, I think 16. I think he started when he was like 16 years old. And so we met in practice, and he had just lost a mask. He had a mask gimmick at the time, and he had just lost his mask, and we were like training partners because we were about the same height and size, whatever. So they would, when you pair up to run a spot or something, you try to run it with someone that was going to be able to keep up, type thing. So we trained together a lot and had good chemistry running spots together, and movement wise, he amateur wrestled as well and did a lot of jiu-jitsu. So we kind of were like, in the same mindset, of what wrestling should look like, at least. So the funny thing is, so I was training, and he just kept, at that time in 98, there wasn't a lot of internet. So he was going around and losing his mask in every town just to get the pop. So he was beating the crap out of the other luchador kid that kept beating him, but then he'd, beat the hell out of him. They'd make the return match. Next time we're here, it's mask versus mask. Everybody'd be like, "Oh, cool," So he had to go around all these different states and stuff and cities and drop the mask. So he was finishing that up and kept asking the promoters, "Well, what's next for me? I want to stay on the shows, But at that time, I was coming along pretty quickly as far as training went, and they asked, "Oh, do you have a gimmick yet?" And I was like, "Well, no." And the promoter, Jesse Hernandez, he was like, "Brother, did you do anything cool in high school or when you were a kid, like karate or?" And I said, "No, I wrestled because I wanted to be a wrestler." "Brother, nobody wants to see that shit. Nobody wants to see that shit. Is boring." And I'm like, "I just want to wrestle. Like, I didn't know I needed to do karate to be a good pro wrestler, like." So that was disappointing because I was like, am I not going to make it now? Because I wasn't like a baseball player or something, like, I don't get it. So the promoter had switched the tag belts on the babyface team that had been chasing for a really long time, but they had no heel tag team to push with them. So I remember it was these two big guys, the Wrecking Crew, and they had won the belts. So same thing. You go in each town and you drop the belts. You drop the belts next. So every town on your loop was conditioned to know what was happening. So one day the promoter said, hey, maybe we could put you guys as a tag team. And I remember me and Rocky were just looking at each other like, yeah, what, anything to get us on the shows. So they go, come up with a gimmick. So we sat there and we're like, oh. So I said, well, what do you want to do? And he was like, I don't know. What do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, man. I just want to wrestle. I don't know what this. I didn't do baseball. I didn't do anything. I don't know what we're gonna be. So he goes, well, aren't you Puerto Rican? And I said, yeah, I'm half Puerto Rican. He goes, oh, well, so am I. He goes, let's just be like a Puerto Rican tag team. So we were like, yeah, great. 1998. Only Los Boricuas are on TV every week, right? So we walk up to Jesse, and we're like, yeah, all right, we want to do like a Puerto Rican themed tag team. Jesse goes, you fucking cocksuckers, like you can't do that shit. Like Savio will call me up, I'll have heat with the office, and I'm like, what? Like, I don't think Savio's worried about, our dumbasses doing Puerto Rican gimmicks. So we're like, all right. He goes, better yet, let's do this. Nobody really likes you guys because we were kind of like, I was more of an asshole than Rocky was, but nobody really liked us because we were like, mess with people, whatever. Anyways, that's a whole nother podcast. He goes, nobody really likes you guys, so you guys could be the heel tag team. And we were like, all right, cool. He goes, nobody likes Cubans, so why don't you guys just be Cubans? You look like fucking Cubans anyways. And we're like, all right, what's a Cuban look like? And they're like you. And I'm like, all right, cool. then the line that haunts us still till this day. You'll just be Cuban for a few months. And I'm like, all right. Yeah. So people ask me till this day, when's the last time you were in Havana? And I was like, oh, it's been a while. I'm not Cuban. But, so that's where the Havana comes in for the Pit Bulls. But, well, actually, we started as Los Cubanitos, which is little Cuban boys. So,
wow, I'm so glad that name did not stick.
Because the big white boys in the back said, yeah, they look like little Cuban boys. and then Jesse's, Mexican, so he's like, there's your name, Los Cubanitos. And then we're like, what's that mean? Little Cuban boys. And we're like, great. Like, it's only getting better from here, guys. Maybe I should have did the whole like community college bullshit like my mom says. So now I'm a little Cuban boy with Rocky. And then it eventually our first like scouting from a Japanese company was from 01. Mr. Hashimoto came to the US and really liked us as a team, but he said that the crowd wouldn't understand little Cuban boys or find it offensive. So he said, come up with a regular name. And at the time they had this guy, Sylvester Turkey, he was Predator. And he was basically doing a Bruiser Brody gimmick. And then they had Solo, who was Jimmy Snuka's son. And he was basically doing a Jimmy Snuka ripoff, like he was basically dressed like his dad. So we were like, well, you guys are biting all the old timers wrestling gimmicks. Like, we could be the British Bulldogs, but we'll be the Cuban version. We'll be the Havana Pit Bulldogs or something, or Pit Bulls. And they were like, all right, that's cool, let's do that. And then that's kind of how we started the whole Havana Pit Bulls gimmick.
Right on.
Nice. Now, so, I mean, I may tack onto this here, but because if everybody visits your Wikipedia page, they can see your entire, history, your title history. But with all the titles that you won in your career so far, which one stands out to you as the most, and why?
Probably the World Junior title I held in Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon. The WWC Junior Heavyweight title. That was probably, besides it being like a legitimate world championship, which is special in itself, it meant the most to me because when I got there in Puerto Rico, that's a whole story on its own. Like, but Steve Carino booked me there. We were in Japan the year before in October, and he asked if I was interested if I would come to Puerto Rico because he was working there full time. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's always been on my, my bucket list to do. So he said, the pay's not good. The territory's dying. He's like, but they run 3-4 shows a week. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn to live on the road. And he basically just said, what you're not learning on the independents and you can't learn on the independents, you'll learn here in Puerto Rico, which is the last, dying territory type thing. He goes, you'll get paid, but it won't be a lot. And he goes, I got to talk to Carlos and see what he says. So I was like, please. So he went to Puerto Rico, talked me up, literally, unfortunately. And then he comes back, as we used to work out at the same gym. Well, I would work out and he would walk around. And then I was like, he's like, oh, so I just got an email. The guy William in the office sent me this to send to you, and I was looking at it, and it was the invite for 6 weeks in Puerto Rico. And he goes, yeah, you coming? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the pay was not good, but it was an opportunity, to wrestle in, like a territory, So anyways, I get there to the January 2nd was my date to move down there. So I packed up what I could in my gym bags and flew down there. And I get to the building and I see Carlos and Jovica. They're in their office at the arena. And this is the big arena, 10,000 seat venue, Coliseum in downtown San Juan. So we get there, I kind of wave, I keep it moving. I go to the locker room with the guys. So I'm kind of introducing myself to everybody. Steve Carino comes up to me and goes, shit, I got to talk to you. Let's go outside. So I'm like, I just got here. I can't be in trouble already. So we walk outside and he goes, man, I don't know how to say this. And I was like, what? And he goes, well, when I told Carlos about you, I showed him some pictures and then I showed him a little clip of you on YouTube, whatever. And I was like, all right. And he's like, he was kind of under the impression you're 6'2", 230. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He's like, as soon as you walked away, he came looking for me and he was like, why is he so small? And I was like, all right. And he goes, well, it's your job to convince him that you're worth staying here. And he patted me on the shoulder and he just walked away. And I was like, I didn't know, was I in trouble? Was I supposed to leave? I don't really have anything to go back to, I was like, all right. So I went out, had the match. He said he enjoyed the match. He liked it. He came over to pay me later in the night. And I said, oh, thanks for the opportunity. I'm so excited to be here. Hopefully, I could stay for a while. And he just kind of nodded and he was like, yeah, good match, and then just kind of walked off. And I thought, fuck, I don't think he likes me. This is terrible. What am I going to do? So every night I was putting the work in. I was just, so they didn't have the junior heavyweight belt active at the time. It had been retired for a couple of years and at least a year at least. And I remember Steve came from a booking. He would go to booking meetings Wednesday nights. So late Wednesday nights, we'd all go to Denny's and he would kind of fill us in on who said what, the gossip, and what the plans are. But I took that job pretty seriously because the house is we are in a 10,000 seat arena on the first. It was a big show. Their Royal Rumble type thing, kicking the year off, a new season. And we had about 2,500 people there. So it looked like a bomb scare. And, a lot of the old guys were just going through the motions because they're like, fuck it, it's not a good payday. I don't give a shit. And I'm out there bumping like rubber ball, we got to get this houses up, So he had said that Ray Gonzalez, who is basically Hulk Hogan in Puerto Rico, had brought up the idea of bringing back the junior heavyweight title. And then he had said, you know, just put Ricky in charge of it and make him, because he's making these guys work hard. So the younger Puerto Rican guys had the same mindset as the old guys, like, oh, it's not a big house, I'm not gonna do shit, you know, because it all trickles down, right? Like, so the young guys, the guys my size and around my age, they're in there being lazy, you know, and I'm thinking like, you'd never earned the right to be lazy, like, you know what I mean? Like, if Thunder, Lightning, Chicky Star, you know, Castillo, Savio, if all those guys want to be lazy, they've earned that right, you know. They were working when it was, you know, 8 days a week, and there's 10,000 people every night and twice on Sunday. You know, these guys have done nothing, you know. So there was a couple of nights, like, I mean, I got into shouting matches with guys in the back because, you know, I was either being too stiff or they thought, you know, I'm trying to show off out there or whatever. Because I would just start blasting fools. Like, if you're not gonna fight me out there, then I'm gonna beat the hell out of you and embarrass you in front of your girl, you know. And that was gonna be it. But I'm gonna drag you through a good match for 20 good minutes, whether you like it or not. And it got to a point where, you know, Mr. Gonzalez was like, hey, let's just bring the belt back. And then he goes, just put Ricky in charge of these guys because, you know, he's making them work, like he's pushing them. So then they brought the idea to bring the junior heavyweight title back. And then going back to what I said earlier, like, I'm afraid of heights, right? So that ties into this, because not only are they bringing the junior heavyweight belt back, but they were going to do it in a 6-way Ultimate X match. Okay, so that's the one where the big X with the cables, right? Right. So like, you had to climb the top rope on the corner, then climb up the post like another couple feet, then
crossed. Yeah,
exactly. Then monkey bar your ass to the center of the ring, right? And then fight, you know, chicken fight, and then pull the fucking belt down, right? So Steve's like, yeah, they're gonna do an ultimate. They're gonna do a 6-way. That's how he told me, and I was like, all right, cool. So I'm like sitting in his room, and we had another guy with us. He was a referee, and it was like one of Steve's best friends, and then I see them like giggling, and I'm like, what's so funny? And then they're like, well, you're going up in the match. And I said, all right. I said, I don't see what's so funny about that. And then they were like, yeah, but it's an Ultimate X match. And I was like, what do you mean an Ultimate X match? Which one's that one? And he's like, it's the one with the big X on the roof. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, man, this ain't gonna end well. I was like, because I'm not going up there multiple times. I mean, I could maybe make it for the time, and that's it. And even then, I'm gonna be shitting myself. So they're laughing, right? So I come up with this plan, right? So everything's got to go through Carlos. So Steve's never had a good idea for Carlos yet, right? So he pitches guys. He's basically an outside booker is what he was. But he'd go to the meetings and he's like, hey, what if this guy did that? And Carlos would tell him no. And then they would just move on with the meeting. So I come up with this idea. So I was like, all right, Steve. I was like, what if we did this? What if we did, these two guys were super popular, this tag team. And I thought, what if Tua goes up and he's about to almost, get the belt. So he's up there squirming along. And then I get his partner and I shove his partner into the referee. Now the referee's down, right? Tua grabs the belt and hops down. But there's no ref to call the match, right? So I stop Tua and I give him my finish. Boom, right on the belt. Bam. I grab the belt, wake the ref up. The ref's like, oh shit, you won the belt. And Steve's like, man, that's pretty good. He goes, a little complicated, but maybe they'll go for it. So he comes back later the next week and he was like, motherfucker. He's like, of course I pitched the idea. Carlos was like, that's a great idea. Good job, Steve. And then And then Steve goes, well, fucking Reyes came up with that. Ray Gonzalez goes, see, I told you he knows what he's fucking doing. And he goes, and I still haven't come up with a good idea here yet. And I've been here for 2 years. I just thought it was hilarious. So, but yeah, like I ended up winning the belt later that year too. And Carlos was very happy with my work, and I kind of changed his mind about smaller guys, at least for that moment. I don't know what he thinks of them now, but because he always said that small guys can't draw houses, so that was his knock on like the junior heavyweight division as a whole. But by summertime, me and my buddy Angel, who I ended up feuding for with the belt right before I left, we were main eventing every house show for like a few months after that, because we were having matches that no one else could. Even the most over guys knew that they weren't going to be able to follow. So even the old guys were like, let's just go on semi-main. He's like, let the kids go last. So we were like, fuck it, we'll kill it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's why that title means the most. At least the first time, and the second too, because I got to drop it to like my best friend, and he was a guy that Carlos hated him. Like, I don't know what the problem was, but he just didn't like him. And by the time we had this little run, changed his mind too. So
Carlito's one of my favorite wrestlers. His son.
Yeah,
love that dude. But going on, you traveled a lot and you did a lot of stuff, and one of the more recent popular adventures of yours was Lucha Underground, and being there as Cortez Castro. What was one of like the standout moments of that little run you did? Because what you guys were doing down there was awesome. So it was really cool to see it in the different aspect. But from it, this is actually a 2-part question now, actually. What from it, like the lucha style or the Japanese style or the American style, which one stands out to you the most?
You mean what style do I like the most, or?
Yeah, because you've done a lot of the styles. That was the original question, but then
Yeah. I mean, from an in-ring style of wrestling, I enjoy the lucha style because it's a lot of get up and go. It's a lot more active, right? I think wrestling fans enjoy the quote unquote Japanese strong style a little bit more, because it is a little more, again, touching on reality based a little bit more, where they can see and feel and hear the shots being delivered to the guys. So I think that's more intriguing to a wrestling fan, because they're almost feeling it themselves, where they're like, well, I wonder what that really feels like. Like, I've been hit. Like, does it feel the same? It's a little more captivating, I guess, to where Lucha Libre style is more of a spectacle. I was always kind of taught or told that Lucha Libre's psychology is like, basically, can you top this? Like the two guys charge in, they run a high spot, boom, the next two guys come in and try to outdo that high spot. Then the next fall you try to do the high spot you just did, and it's just a different psychology. But yeah, of the two, they're completely opposite in a lot of ways, literally and figuratively. But I enjoy them both for different reasons. I always lean more towards the Japanese style because of everything that Mr. Inoki kind of explained to me. And again, I always thought that way, even when I was in high school. That's why I started amateur wrestling, but when he started saying it, it was like kind of putting the dots together, connecting the dots for me. And it was one of those like, okay, so I am right, because if he's saying it, I'm nobody, but what he's saying is what I'm thinking and what I think it should be. So for me, it was a lot of that. So I always kind of migrated towards that. But I just wrestled a luchador Sunday in Laredo, and he kind of came up to me with like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, we can do whatever, and he was a little hesitant on putting stuff in, but then I started calling more lucha spots for him, and then he started realizing, and then we went out, and it was fun, and everybody was kind of shocked. At least the newer guys I'm training here in Texas, they were like, wow, like we've never seen that. You move like that and do those things before, and it's like, well, when you get in there with a guy that's all he knows, that's why I tell everybody to be adaptable. You got to be able to do all styles of wrestling, especially today. Like I always kind of thought that, like at least when I started, even though we trained with New Japan and started there, they sent us to CMLL like a month after we came back from Japan. So, it was only a couple months before we went from the Tokyo Dome to Arena Mexico and like 18,000 people every Friday night, so you learn to become adaptable real quick and learn to understand different styles, different psychologies. If you want to be successful, you'll learn it, and it's only like a tool for you, because now I can do training, especially here living in Texas, it's kind of like California where it's like, one day I'll be wrestling. It's, a guy that wants to like just basically beat the hell out of you. And then the next night you could be wrestling, a 6-man luchador match, it's completely different.
Yeah. I just think Lucha Underground is one of your best works. Like not to say any of your work's not been good, but like you were on all cylinders through Lucha Underground. I wish you guys could have been kicking it more there.
Absolutely. And yeah, to go back to the other part of the question, yeah, man, that was so when as a fan myself, and then getting into the wrestling business and then hearing the older guys talk about, man, ECW was so cool, it was special, that I can relate because that was kind of like our ECW, I guess, where you just kind of catch lightning in a bottle, I guess. It was nothing when we got there. Like there was 13 wrestlers in a locker room when we got there. And nobody knew what it was. Nobody, I mean, we got to the arena and they had signs and stuff up. And I remember me and Matt Cross and Ricochet going, the fuck is Lucha Underground? You know what I mean? Like, and we were like, this place looks like a shithole. Like, why is it so dusty in here? Where's catering?
The temple was awesome, man. Like I wanted to go and be in there.
No, but that's the thing is like we made it work and we embraced it, and it really, honestly, man, like yeah, that it was a special time for me in many ways because I think I was around 17 years in there, and I did the Ring of Honor stuff and wrestled in Japan a bunch, and I was having a good time wrestling, all over, still traveling a lot and stuff. But my son was, my wife, we had gotten married and, on her birthday was a Wednesday. This was 2014, June. Her birthday, she told me that she was pregnant. So I was like, oh, okay, great. We were excited and stuff. And then AAA had called me. We went to go have dinner just to talk and, figure out life, whatever. Hopefully not mess up this human being's life, like a plan or something. So we went to dinner and I didn't bring my phone with me, but I got back and I had a bunch of missed calls from San Diego, and it was Conan calling me. And then he had told me, yeah, finally, like AAA USA is going to start and we're going to use you. And I was like, oh, is it? And, in the wrestling business, you kind of hear about these things there. And he had been telling me about this for almost a decade now. And I was like, okay, because he kept telling me, well, I don't have no room in Mexico for you, but we're going to do stuff in the US. He just kept telling me. So I was like, okay. And so he tells me Monday morning, this guy Mark's going to call you from LA. And he goes, and just talk to him from there. And then I was like, all right. So anyways, I tell my wife, and she's like, oh man, maybe this is, this could be a good thing, this and that. At the time, the network was just about to start or was going to start. I can't remember. But Canyon Seaman had messaged me a bunch. I had went and did a tryout a couple years prior, and he said if we did a cruiserweight show that I would be on it. And I thought it was, oh yeah, right. So I would email him every couple months or every month, and he would reply back like immediately, like, yeah, man, no, we're good. We're trying to figure everything out. This network, we're gonna start it. And I'm like, all right. So we're waiting a couple years, and I'm just like, dude, whatever. And then so I emailed him right away, and I said, hey, Canyon, blah blah blah. I got this. I might have a potential offer. Is there anything you guys are going to do with me anytime soon? I have a baby on the way, so I need to either work something out that I know I'm going to get something, or pass it up and hope I get an opportunity with you guys, And he told me right now, man, he goes, I can't make you any promises. And if they offer you money, he said, take it. He goes, we'll come get you when you're done. And I was like, all right. And he was like, congratulations, best of luck. And I was like, cool, thanks. I just got future endeavored, and I wasn't even fucking hired there. So I was like, okay, cool. So Monday morning, I think it was whatever area code, and I'm like, oh, I think this is LA. So I pick it up. Hi, it's Mark so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we were told to call you. Will you be interested in coming in for a reading? And I'm like, a reading? And they're like, yeah, like a script. And I'm like, no, I live in Pennsylvania, and you guys want to fly me out there to read a couple lines? And I was like, and they're like, well, it's got a lot of, this and that. And I said, all right. So, well, then I was kind of irritated, because, Hollywood people don't know how to talk to wrestling people and vice versa, right? So I'm kind of thinking like, well, don't you know who the hell I am? I'm Ricky Reyes, damn it, And I'm like, yeah, I said, I talked to Conan. Isn't AAA involved? And they said, yeah, they're the creators of it. I said, all right. So, well, if you need reference, you can call Conan. He's the one that's been telling me about this. Like, he told me that you guys are calling me, not the other way around. And they were like, okay. And then Wednesday, they sent a contract over, and I signed it, and that was it. And I told, I told my wife, I said, whatever this is, which we don't know what it is, I said, I'm just going to make the best of it, and we'll just go from there, But the money came in, and it was good money to start, let alone what I was making when I left. And then it was just, I just knew that whatever it was going to be, I was going to do my best and make the best of it, So I think by the time we all got going, a few shows, a few tapings, it was pretty obvious that everybody there wanted it to succeed, because when the higher ups are coming around and they're like, man, this is insane, this is crazy, this is awesome. And really, in any job, right, you just want to be appreciated for your work. And they did that. They made us feel special, more special than any other indie company has ever made. Because they treated us like movie stars, like actors, like we weren't like wrestlers, like getting dressed, in a broom closet, and it's like, oh, here, I got catering, haha, here's some waters, It was like everything that we needed, they got for us. Any ideas that we had to make our character better, they did. They created for us, and it was just one of those things. By the end of the first season, I was like, there's no way that this thing doesn't keep going for a while, So
one of the best titles came from the Lucha Underground, in my opinion. The Gift of the Gods titles.
The Gift.
Just a great title concept. I love it.
Yeah. It just added, it was just another, it was another layer to the story, It was, now you had what, 6 or 7 things to fight for to get to the one, and it made that one belt so much more bigger, right? Like, you had to win a medal to put it to get into the match for the title. It was just,
I mean, you guys, in my opinion, and this is no disrespect to like Matt Hardy and them and what WWE did, you guys started what was the cinematography wrestling world. You guys were the guys that were the groundbreakers in that, in my opinion.
I agree. I used to tell people all the time, like, we would shoot something, right? And when you're doing it, you don't see the tint and the fog and the extra stuff, right? Then we'd watch it and it was insane. It was like, dude, that's me. Like, this is crazy. That was the set. Like, and I always would tell all the guys, like, I think if Vince McMahon could have it his way, he would make Monday Night Raw something like this. Like, like everything would be so overly theatrical,
Let's CM Punk do that. Anytime for you to make fun of CM Punk, right?
Yeah, I know. Hey, but at least him and Rocky defeated him and Colt back in ROH for tag titles. So
yes,
okay.
we did.
That's a fact. Continue with that, actually. Right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So I mean, is there? Well, I mean, a lot can happen, and a lot can either not go the way that you want it to go. Usually in some matches, and I know I've been there plenty of times. But I mean, but not as bad. Just miss here, miss there, no big deal. But is there any moment that stands out as the most unplanned or botched scenario during one of your matches?
The one thing that always comes up is me and Frankie Kazarian. We had a match, and we were amped up for. I think it was the first time in UPW when, in like the early 2000s. I think it was the very first time. I think it was the very first time that Pritchard and Jim Ross came down to watch, and everyone had multi-man matches, right? Like it was either 8-on-8, 4-on-4. It was a 10-way. It was a midi battle because everybody wanted to be on the show. So they squeezed everyone in, and it was Kazarian and this guy he used to team up with years ago called Tech 9. Really, like, I think he was like one of those American Ninja Warrior guys or something. Like, he was super flippy and did all this crazy shit. And they kind of looked similar, like long hair, jacked up. So they teamed them up, and then we were the only, besides like the main event, we were the only straight up match. Like, it was a tag team. Then there was a 7-way. There was a fatal 4-way with the girls. There was an 8-on-8. There was all these other matches, because WWE was there. And I remember the opening spot, like me and Kazarian lock up like stiff as hell, and I grab the headlock and I go in to hit him with the tackle. And at the time I was like a miniature, like, dynamite kid. Like, I was all juiced out of my mind, and I just loved hitting people. And I remember I gave him a shoulder tackle and our heads collided, and we did a high spot that ended with him hitting the middle rope, like jumping to the middle rope and doing like a back elbow, off the middle. And I remember I jumped up to, take the shot, rolled out. I got in, I tagged Rocky. And I remember when I bent forward to go underneath the rope to get out of the ring, a string of red blood just falling. And I remember the cameraman is like bugging out, and he's like coming up to me with the camera, and he's like giving me a thumbs up sign, and I'm looking at him like, cool, man, like, whatever. And I look down and I'm like, the fuck is this shit in the ring, And then I look over and it's just pouring on my chest and my arm, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm bleeding. And then the ref comes over and goes, oh my God, are you all right? And I'm like, I'm fine. Why? And he goes, dude, this looks bad. This looks real bad. And I'm like, what looks bad? And I start feeling around, and yeah, that was probably like the worst one. Same thing, actually, similar thing happened in Ricochet on Lucha Underground. I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was episode 8 on the first season. It was a ladder match. We weren't advertised in the match, but it was Big Rick, Johnny Mundo and Ricochet, and it was the $100,000 match where they had the $100,000 hanging.
Yeah, where Mundo wins it.
Yes, and on that match, Ricochet did that dive where he runs and he does like the backflip, right? Or he turns in the sky and like almost like a tornado, like spins, right? Well, when he does that, he takes a step to my left, his right when he does it, right? So everyone's straight on waiting for him, but he's going to take a giant step when he pivots. So I knew where to be. So I'm waiting, and I'm like, oh shit, no one's going to catch him. So I take a giant step to the side as he like jumps, and I'm like, yeah, I got to go get him. And he comes down with his elbow and just clips me. I don't know if I could see it, but oh, it's this here.
Oh. Holy crap.
So his elbow hits me, boom, because he opens up and I'm the only one there. So I catch him, I place him down. He gets in the ring and you can see him grabbing his elbow, kind of moving it. So I'm gushing blood. Same thing. My partner comes up to me, Cholo, and he's like, oh shit, are you all right? And I'm like, what happened? I remember the hit, but I just remember it like bonking me and then falling down, you know? He's like, oh shit, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And that's the shot that I have. They made it into an advertisement where I put the stick in my mouth and I'm like,
yes.
And then, yeah, I'm bleeding because of Ricochet's elbow. So we beat the shit out of him afterwards. And then I grabbed the stick and I start whacking everybody. And then it almost caused a riot. Like the fans wanted to charge the ring. So there was this group of guys, these, you know, little essays or whatever. And they're like, you know, throwing up whatever signs. So I'm like, come on, motherfucker, come on. So I put the stick in my mouth and I'm like telling them to come in the ring, and everyone's like throwing shit at us, and it got kind of crazy. I remember Melissa Santos, she was like, oh my God, like what's happening? And she's like running out of she's running out of there. The camera guys are looking back like, what the fuck? And I'm like, welcome to wrestling, you know, because they're used to like a studio audience, you know, like people just clapping and cheering or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wrestling fans take this shit personal if you do it right, you know. But yeah, that was another incident of like things. But I mean, as far as like spots and stuff like that, like I've never worried about that. So even when I was green, like, and I didn't really know what I was doing because I was a good wrestler, I would just grab a guy and just throw a wrestling hold on or something, you know. But collisions like that, or just getting clipped, or, you know, when Angelico dropped me off the ladder, it dislocated my shoulder.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, as soon as I land, like there's like a long minute clip of it. You see me grab my wrist and pop my arm back in. My shoulder just jumps right back in. But just stuff like that. I mean, freak accidents.
So then on the other side of the coin, like the flip side of the coin, what's your like groundbreaking achievement moment? Like what was your standout moment in wrestling in your career so far?
It'll always be like debuting at the Tokyo Dome for New Japan. Just because I thought I actually put that on a top 5 list one time when I first started wrestling, just because I thought, oh, I'll never do this, so I'll put that at number 1, because there's no way I'll go to Japan, let alone wrestle in the Tokyo Dome. And then 3 years later, I did it. So, but just because how much of all that meant to me, personally, like, you know, the year prior, I'm wrestling indies, you know, just doing the thing, listening to my parents complain that I'm wasting my life away, not making money. Like, this is the stupidest thing you've ever done. Like, get your shit together, you know, whatever. And then I came home with Japan from my first trip, and brought all the magazines and, you know, all the stuff from that trip. And I think that kind of hit them then, like, oh, he's kind of doing it, you know. And then bringing my dad backstage at Lucha Underground was when it hit him like a ton of bricks. Like, ironically enough, after he talked to Chavo Guerrero, that because Chavo had known me and Rocky since 2001 when WCW closed down, and he told my dad that the Lucha Underground and him and everybody were lucky to have me there because I kind of hold the place together and stuff like that. And then I could tell my dad, like, it just hit him. It was just a moment, where it hit him. But stuff like that, like little things, always things that you don't ever really plan on to happen, and then they do. And a lot of it is, personal stuff. A lot of it is behind the scenes stuff, like me and Joey Ryan had like a 5-0 street fight on Lucha Underground, and we both had
great stuff.
Yeah, we had our own, each one of us, Joey and I both, we started together in Southern California, obviously took very different paths, but that night was special because I was always, bridesmaid type thing, like the partner of, I was in a group of, I was always there, but never the guy. And around that time, that's when Joey was like, he went viral, and then the honeymoon was over by then for him, so it turned into, well, he can't wrestle. He only does this stuff. So he went out and was like, well, if I can keep up with Reyes, in a wrestling match / fight, then people will look at me like I can do everything. So, and I was going out there with like, all right, they finally put us in the main event, the main match, 2-year build up, 2-year storyline. I'm winning tonight after losing all these matches coming up to this. So this was my crowning moment as a character and stuff like that, So that was, that was a special night. A special night for both of us, because like there's a part where he grabs handcuffs in the match, right? Because it was a 5-0 street fight, right? So we had a fake baton and we had a real baton, and then we had fake handcuffs and real handcuffs. Well, I threw the fake ones away, and I told Joey in the back, I said earlier in the day, and I said, look, I need color tonight. So Vampiro was like, oh, I got you, brother. I got you. Come over to the desk and I'll hook you up. And I'm like, no. We need to do it hard way so they understand that this is real. And then Vampiro was like, well, I don't like that. And I was like, well, I wasn't really asking your opinion or for help. I told Joey I had the handcuffs, and I said, this is the only set we have. And I told him, you need to hit me on the top of the head until I start to bleed with these. And he goes, no, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not doing that. I said, if you don't hit me with these, I'm going to hit you with these. I said, and that's your option out there tonight. I said, when the heat comes, cut me off. And that's the first thing you do, so I can bleed through the entire heat and the comeback. And then he was like, well, I don't think. I said, Joey, you're not understanding what I'm telling you. I'm not asking you to do anything. I said, you're going to bleed or I'm going to bleed. And he was like, all right. And sure enough, like, he just grabs them and he hits me and he hits me. And then Justin's our referee, and he was like, I see a little bit. And he hits me again. I was like, oh shit, that hurt. And he goes, oh man, you're gushing. And then boom, he hits me more. And I'm like, what the fuck? Get off me. And then I got all mad. And I had a huge lump on my head. It was terrible.
Oh man.
That was a good match.
Holy crap. Well,
Fun times.
yeah. Speaking of fun times, so outside of the ring, is there any memorable? Because with me as a vet, I've got tons stacked away that I'll only tell if I'm kind of pressed upon. But is there any type of memorable like road story or a fan's experience that you could share that's either funny or that's just sticks with you with whatever reason?
Legal ones, huh?
Legal ones.
There's a couple I could say, but I might get
won't get you in trouble, and
I might get some
police knocking at your door.
We all might get some cease and desists from
Well,
from either Florida or Connecticut.
Oh man, yeah.
No, you know what? Honestly, man, this might be a letdown, but like I'm a pretty boring person outside the ring. Like I'm not much of the stop and smell the roses type of guy. And outside the wrestling world, I'm pretty much an introvert. Like I don't really talk to many people like at all. Um Honestly, I could say I have like friends wise, like close friends, maybe like 3, maybe 4 that came from wrestling, like people I could talk to that maybe I haven't talked to in years and, feels like we just picked up right where we left off. And I'm not gonna say their names because it's gonna sound like I'm name dropping, but
Right.
I just I don't do much. Like what I like to do is literally like what I did today was I work out, I watch wrestling, maybe go to eat somewhere, something good. And when I'm eating, I'm probably talking about wrestling. If I'm watching wrestling, I'm thinking about working out. if if I'm working out, I'm usually thinking about wrestling. so uh so what I'm getting at is like I don't have like the whole like wild stories. Like I don't drink a lot. Like well, I don't drink anymore since 2006, but even the
Yeah.
times I did I was like we'd go to shows and then I would go to like oh like let's go to the bar afterwards with a bunch of friend people and blah blah blah. Like I usually just kind of chilled in the corner and it probably looked like I wasn't having a good time, but I was. But I think that's just how I look. Like I look like a fucking asshole. So a lot of people don't talk to me, because I think like I find out later, like,
I get that.
oh
I
yeah,
feel that.
yeah, you look mad. So I didn't want to bother you, and I'm like, no, this is how I look. It's just my face. Um,
That's some
but yeah,
RBF.
yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, so like, I mean, there was times like in international stuff, things always get a little wilder. Like, and one time we me and Homicide were in like a tag team tournament in England. Do you guys remember 1PW? I think they just came back.
I remember. Yeah, I
It
believe I
sounds
remember.
familiar.
Yeah, it
One
sounds familiar.
1PW in Doncaster, England. They wrestle in a Doncaster Dome. It's like this big dome attached to a mall. And
So it's
they
called
used
Doncaster.
yeah, they used to like Carino used to book that too, and it was basically a Ring of Honor TNA like super shows. Like I don't know where this dude came up with his money, but um, we'd have like I mean it was everybody like AJ, Joe, Jarrett. It was and then ROH had Aries, Strong, me, Homicide, Nigel McGuinness, um, Christian was TNA at the time, Rhino, Abyss. Abyss is a funny dude. Um, I could say some stuff about about those trips in Abyss, but and yeah, so like it was like a wild party all weekend. Really, like we'd get there early, and then they'd want to take us out. Corey Graves, that was the first time I met Corey Graves. Like, um, he was wrestling at the time. On these shows. Yeah, it was crazy, man. But though, I mean, it was just a bunch of like, oh, let's all go to a strip club. So it's like, all right, so we go, and we all just kind of hang out. And again, I don't have anything to talk about in life on wrestling related, including like working out. That includes like that's all I do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm not the most fun. If you're not a wrestling nerd, we're not having fun together because I don't really
I think
like.
that's
I
why
don't
we
play
got
video
along.
games. I don't play video games. I don't collect stuff. I don't. I don't go to football game. I don't give a shit about other sports. I don't care. Um, someone's like, "Oh, that's so and so from the San Antonio Spurs," and I'm just like, "Cool." Like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, he just
Move
racked
on.
up. Yeah, he just racked up this amount of points last night. I'm like, good for him. Like, using that bench, well then move. But yeah, so like I just, like a lot of the guys, they go out and I sit there and listen to them talk about football or get into arguments about baseball or this basketball, whatever. I don't know. But anyways, no, I'm pretty fucking boring. If I talk about anything now, it's my son, and the wrestling stuff that I do have, like most people have, like the road stories and everything but the match. Like I like the match. Like my stories are about things that happen in the ring or leading up to the ring or, how it felt in the ring or whatever. So like a lot of times we'd do Lucha Underground, we'd be done at 8:00. Like we would tape pretty early. So now you're talking about get back to the hotel. I was in the lobby usually almost every night, like clockwork, by 8 p.m. So you'd figure downtown LA, living it up, 5-star hotel, Alberto Del Rio's pulling up in his Corvette, let's go out, let's go drink, and I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to order a burger, and watch New Japan World, and I'd go up to my room and that's what I would do. And I'd be like, so excited. Like maybe I'm going to get bacon on this shit tonight. Damn.
I'd probably be hanging out with you the whole time. Actually.
Right. Exactly. So. That's what I'm saying. If you're not a wrestling nerd, you're not going to be friends with me for very long. I'm telling you. But if you are, we're good.
Wrestling.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, what kind of food can we order? And what do you want to watch
So
tonight?
LA side, In and Out, right? In and
yeah.
Out. In wrestling. Damn, I'm down. Let's go.
Dude, heaven. Yeah. But that's, I mean,
things.
Honestly, that's how I've always been. Like, even when I was, when we first started, now Rocky, that's where we were like a married couple, me and Rocky. He's all about stopping and smelling every fucking rose that he can, taking pictures, what are the sites? Let's go here. Let's go there. So on our first Ring of Honor weekend, we were wrestling the Briscoes, and it was, where's the Mall of America? Minnesota?
Yeah, Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis. So it was there, right? So we get off the plane, a van picks us up, drives us to the hotel, right? I get out of the van, I grab my bag, and the Briscoes, who we've never met, are already giggling, laughing with Rocky because he's a social butterfly, and I'm just sitting in the corner by myself, staring out the fucking window, wondering where I'm at. And they get off, and then Rocky goes, "Come on, go drop your stuff off. Let's go." And I said, "Go where?" And this is a true story. He goes, "Mall of America." And then Jay comes over and Mark's like, "Yeah, baby, let's go look at the big ass mall." And I'm like, and I'm standing there, and I was like, "Why?" And then he's like, "Because it's the Mall of America. It's where they did Nitro." I was like, "Nitro's not there tonight." And they're like, "No, we're gonna go to the mall and go like walk, maybe go get some food or something." And I was like, "Dude, there's a McDonald's right there. Like, I want to go look for a gym." And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. And that was the first time we met the Briscoes. And then Rocky goes, "All right, dude, whatever. See you at the building." And I'm like, "Well, fuck you too then, bitch. I don't give a shit." And I just walked away. So I went, I ate, and then I found a Planet Fitness. I worked out. I came back. We got to the building. I was like, "How was your big ass mall?" And he goes, "Oh man, it was great. It was packed." I was like, "I don't care. Did you talk to these guys about the match?" And he was like, "No, we didn't talk about wrestling." And I'm like, "You guys were together for like 2 hours. What did you talk about?" We're like, "We just walked around the mall." I'm like, "The fuck? What?" Like, I don't even get it. So,
holding hands,
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I would have loved to hang out with Ricky Romero and them at the freaking Mills, the mall, like the Mills Mall. Why am I talking St. Louis?
Yeah. No,
that was like every weekend for us too, like arguing like that. Like people wondered why we didn't beat each other up like every day. Because he just wants to go do all these other things, And then when we get to the ring, and get to the match, he's like, "Oh, what are we doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I kind of laid this out. Cool. I'll just do this and that here." And I'm like, "All right, like, and you're the one everyone likes, but I did all the work. I put all this shit together." So
That's I like you both, so
yeah. People like us together because they like to watch us argue. Like it's like a married couple.
Oh man, that's no. To me, that's hilarious. I mean, sometimes that's even better than pulling the rib on somebody, just being blunt. Isn't
Yeah.
They get upset. You're like,
let's go watch the pit bulls argue again. That's why TJ loved us so much. He just sat back in the kid's child seat in the back and just listened to us bitch the whole way, like wherever we were going.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, to me that's hilarious. So I mean, obviously you're still working. You're still doing shows around. I know you. Let's see, you put up some pictures the other. Like I say, you want to follow Ricky Reyes on Facebook, and
active poster.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I seen that last night, not this past week, but last week, you were down at TWE, Texas Wrestling Entertainment. So you're their champion now.
Yeah.
And so do you got any other got any other big events coming up for you?
Yeah, this week I'm in Laredo again on Saturday, and then TWE does it's called Del Rio, Texas, at the Civic Center. It's like a border town, like a lucha base type show we do there. But TWE kind of goes all over Texas, so it really gets everywhere. So the guys, like, that's the school that I train the guys at. So they get a lot of different looks, like different wrestlers, So it's really a good program to be in, because a lot of the other schools in the area just do shows, mostly in San Antonio. So you kind of just get used to the same guys and girls in the locker room, But when you're all over Texas, like down south and border towns, east and west, up 5 hours up northeast, like in the real racist areas, it's like these crowds are very different. Texas is like its own fucking country, and then in that country there's different pockets of very, very different Texans. So you get to experience a lot with this promotion. So, and it keeps us busy. I mean, we have a lot of shows every month. So
wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
well, that's cool. That is cool. So can anybody? So Facebook is your only outsource?
Oh yeah, no, I have Twitter, which is at Ricky Reyes 01, and then I have Instagram. I mean, it's not all linked together, so there's different stuff on each one. But mostly, I mean, again, like, I don't know. I don't do the whole like inspirational quote stuff like some people do. Like, and I think all the time, like, who the fuck cares? Like, I know I don't. You know what I mean? I see guys with like these cool ass pictures of them at the gym, like doing this whole like I'm thinking thing, and like, oh, I'm inspired to be the best and blah 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 and all this other shit. And I'm just like, who has the time to think about all this crap? So I mean, it's pretty like hanging out with like hanging out with me. You're just getting wrestling related posts, workout posts, or if I'm in and out, I'm telling you about it. But other than that, yeah.
Oh, there's some kids posts every once in a while.
Well, yeah, once in a while I gotta put my pride and joy up there. I don't like to put his stuff up a whole lot, but
every once in a while.
Yeah. He's just finished soccer. He's back in karate. Before that, he did like taekwondo for like 3 years. So he's a little monster. Yeah, he's good. Good.
Is he gonna follow Dad's footsteps, or
everybody
asks you feel?
That? He's told me a couple times, I want to be a wrestler too, but I don't know. He loves soccer, like he's really good at it, and or football, whatever you want to call it. But I would like him to just kind of focus on that, because I think I mean, he's really good at it. He's so coachable. He listens well. Takes after his mom. He's a social butterfly. He'll sit with you and talk your freaking ear off. Like, someone's got to do the talking in the house. That's why it works out perfect for us. I listen, she talks, and I don't know. And my son takes after her. He looks like her. He he's loving and caring. So he's very, but I always, like, we just never wanted him to be lazy. It's like, he doesn't sit on a computer a lot or iPads a lot, video games. Try to just have him outside. And that was another reason I thought that move to Texas was good. Just let him play football and soccer and be outside all the time. His soccer league like runs all year round. So, he takes a couple weeks off in between seasons and does karate.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we don't push him either way. We just don't want him to be lazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, kids need to stay active one way or the other. So I totally agree on that. Well, cool. I think, like I said, I think that's all we had, man. I know we ran a little deep and a little bit late, and but hey, it is what it is, But I'm glad that you stuck with us. We definitely thank you for your time, man. Some great stuff, great stories, and that's always, I love to get great stories and experiences from everybody, whoever we bring on. And so, I mean, it's always good stuff, man. I mean, I haven't met you personally, but I know, you've been in town and at least up here in Illinois before. You got to see Miz.
Yeah. That's my boy. I like him.
Yeah.
I was so like, I shot you that message and it was just out of like blind, like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to do it. Like, I've been wanting to do it for a while. Like, I'm like, I enjoy talking with you, but you are like, I'm known for being the Miz fan and all that stuff, but my wrestling love goes very deep, very, very deep. And you were one of the reasons I got into ROH. You, CM Punk, Colt, Roderick Strong, Danielson. So like, you were one of those, and then watching you in Lucha Underground, and then getting to spend that time with you that I got to spend. Like, it can never be replaced, never be changed, never be anything like that. Like, that time that I spent with you just in the airport,
hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was awesome. And I appreciated it. Like, you allowing me to do that with you. And so this is, you filled my cup up big today. Like, this is nerd moment 101.
But that's what I mean. Like, about just being like a wrestling nerd, like, I think we're all wrestling nerds, like, I hate to hear guys, especially guys in a locker room that other wrestlers look up to, it always bothers me to hear guys say, well, I don't watch wrestling anymore. Like, I don't watch this shit. Like, what are you, too cool for school? Like, what?
It's my drug.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, then how do you even keep doing this? Like, that's like a baseball player being like, oh, I only watch ice hockey. Like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. I just, again, I love wrestling and appreciate everybody on all aspects of wrestling. Like, for me, I look at what you did for me, like that meant a lot to me, right? Because you didn't have to get up, drag your ass out of bed, come pick me up at the hotel, take me to the airport, and I never really know how to repay those people, but usually those are the people that I connect with the most, because they're usually not wrestlers and people that just love wrestling, so I find myself more in tune to like becoming friends with those particular people, as opposed to the people in the locker room. Not saying that I wasn't friends with anybody in the locker room, or I still don't on occasions talk to them, but I mean, like, I remember all that stuff. Like, that means a lot to me, and should mean a lot to other wrestlers that you guys might do that for, but talking on podcasts about wrestling, hanging out in the locker room talk, like, I don't talk about anything else but wrestling. Like I said, I'm extremely, what you see is what you get, as far as like, oh, he's a wrestler. Like, yeah, to the core. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know or care or give two shits about anything else except that, you know? And it's always nice to meet people that love it as much as I do. And so we can have something to talk about, you know? And it's, you know, everyone's always like, I remember one time I went to Indiana and the promoter was like, nice guy. And I know he meant well, but he was like, oh, here's your locker room. And like took me to this back room, and it was like, you know, it's all like fancy looking and everything. And it was just like a community center, but it must have been like the main person's office or something, you know, and had all this stuff in there. And like I sat in there for like 10 minutes, and I remember I texted my wife. I was like, I don't know if I'm in trouble or what, or like, does nobody want to talk to me here? Like, because they put me in a room by myself and said, this is your locker room. Like stay in here, you know? And so I remember I opened the door and I kind of peeked out, and I saw one of the guys walk by, and he was like, yo, you're here. And I was like, yeah, man. And they were like, oh, they got you in the superstar locker room. And I said, do I have to stay in here? And he goes, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know. Like, the dude just like closed the door and was like, stay in here. Like, here's your locker room. And then he goes, well, we all get dressed in the big locker room down the way. He goes, it's, you know, the restrooms are down there. So I grabbed my stuff and I rolled everything in there. And then they're all like, what are you doing here? And I was like, it's the locker room, right? I'm just getting dressed. And the promoter came back and he was like, was there something wrong? And I was like, well, I don't know. I just by myself, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
like, I'm not one of those guys, you know, like, I'm totally not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of those guys that want that, but yeah, I just want to be around wrestling and wrestlers and wrestle and not stop.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mad respect.
There you go, man. Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to watch Raw tomorrow, so like I'm already pumped for wrestling this week.
There you go.
And Chase today's like, hey, did we miss Crown Jewel? And I'm like, I don't know, but now I'm like worried if we did or not.
That's not until November 5th.
That's how much of a wrestling fan I am. I'll just eat it up. I mean, there's TNA's going in the background. Like,
there you go.
Yeah. So, oh man. Well, hey man, Ricky, thanks again for doing this for us, man. It was definitely a real treat, and you know, definitely look us up. Hey, pass the word to anybody else that you encounter. Say, hey, we treated you, at least we rolled the red carpet out. We didn't set you in a corner like anybody else did. So
no red M&Ms only.
Yeah. So now I don't know who we're gonna have next week, but you know, hey, just tune in to find out. We're always churning, and hey, we had a commercial spot on a TV show here tonight, or at least it was, you know, streaming, but you know, it's still
streaming TV.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, a lot of people are going to streaming services, so I mean,
the lines are being blurred.
Yeah. So yeah, man. But thanks again, and you know, it's great chat, and knowing that I mean, you definitely did a lot with which you were given, man, and a lot of careers and a lot of guys that you came across, and you know, like with Chavo, and you know, New Japan, getting a chance to train with legends. I mean, gosh, I mean, a lot of guys would dream to even have that opportunity that are in this business today. So awesome stuff, man.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
awesome.
Not a problem here. So this has been episode number 74 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast featuring Ricky Reyes, and we will be back next Sunday night for certain, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week. And hey, peace out. We'll see you next Sunday night. Thanks again for tuning in to tonight's episode of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Don't forget our friends at the following: Outside the Ring STL, the Searcher and Hide podcast, and We Talk Wrestling. The Falls Count Everywhere podcast is an LTX Enterprises production.